Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today's show was presented to you by FanDuel. For all of your sports betting needs this college football weekend, make sure to head on over to FanDuel. Today, Sean, for FCS Football Week 2, we have a juggernaut battle between South Dakota State and Montana State. We're going to preview that game as well as, of course, FC estimates. Lots happening this weekend, lots to get into. I really want to figure out which of these teams is the real deal or not, because both these teams lost a lot this past offseason. Neither of these teams were really, truly tested. South Dakota State was a lot more tested than Montana State was with the ass whooping that they dished out to Sacramento State. Montana State got worked by Oregon. So we are going to learn who is the most capable and who is the realest threat to win a national title.
It's nice to see, the two big dogs represented in the top 25s, which is very visible on my Twitter feed at Sanderson Radio. If you want a top 25 that you can see, those are right there. Those are two big dogs.
Up.
What am I getting yelled at for right now?
Fucking busy over here.
I'm just talking about my top 25. Did I even bring you up?
Yeah, you're chirping me.
Put yours out then. Face the noise. Face the music.
I'll put it out next week, man.
When I had Montana at 17, I had Jamie Williams screaming at me in DMs, and then I still dropped my top 25. Got crucified.
I have that for how often I'm called an idiot for just.
Is that happening regularly?
Yes. Every morning I wake up to DMs and comments, and just every little place where my content is, I am called an idiot, mostly from Rufino and Joe. I'm not worried about the FCS fans jumping all over me for me putting out my ballot. And my ballot is up on Red Shirt Sports, by the way. So if anyone wants to see it, I got people asking me why was Incarnate Word in front of Nichols? It's one game. I'm not going to completely throw away all of the assessments that we made during the offseason. Incarnate Word's still a good program. They can bounce back. There's plenty of time for them to bounce back. Nichols could completely collapse. They had a really good first game. I don't have to put Nichols ahead of Incarnate Word.
I'm not saying you do. I don't know why you're hijacking a preview here. I was just trying to. I didn't start anything. I didn't start a thing. Get your finger out of my face, please. Here's what I'll say before we get back to the preview. If you're a North Dakota State fan trashing me while I have your team at number one, I'm not taking that into account for anything.
People trash you.
People just keep on. North Dakota State fans it is coming up as spam. What is this ballot? What is it? You're one. Shut up. I can't. I don't know what to do with North Dakota State fans, and I haven't known what to do. I haven't known what
25. Send a message.
God, you know what? It's not like Bison Rants is gonna. I'm not gonna take a shot at them. I shouldn't, and I won't. I'll refrain.
They're the only North Dakota State fan that watches our show.
I appreciate it. I don't know what those people want.
Back to the game.
Yeah, Montana State, I feel like, could have dished out an equal ass whooping to Sac State that South Dakota State would have. South Dakota State did 20-3. It's kind of hard to call a 20-3. You don't give up a touchdown, but I think Montana State is one of the few FCS teams capable of doing so alongside South Dakota State. Now, what have we seen with the track record? South Dakota State has the edge. South Dakota State still, I believe, has a bit of an edge. Just seeing their operation last week, it was smooth. It was buttery. When they wanted to move down the field quickly, they could. When they wanted to just churn and run right down their faces, they could. Montana State, though, a lot of good, interesting talent. What do they do on the run defense game against Julius Luffridge? Because he made himself
it's not low ride,
a warm welcome in South Dakota State with 159 yards last week, 22 carries, 7.2 yards a clip. That is going to be the game-breaking moment, I think, or game-breaking factor for Montana State defensively, is finding a way to bottle that guy up.
Yeah, to start digging into the South Dakota side of things, I think Chase Mason showed us some strong signs of what he can be as the full-time starting quarterback. The completion percentage that he had, the consistency, the poise, the reliability, it helps that he's already been around and he's seen opportunities to get onto the field. That's an advantage. I don't know if we can classify it as a massive one because we've only seen Justin Lamson in one performance against a top 10 team in college football. But this South Dakota State team was super physical defensively. The way that they were able to completely shut down Sac State's offense, 24 rushing yards on 24 carries, a long of 6, I think is going to go a very long way, not to mention the fact this note actually put at the end here. Is it saying that they gave up 7 sacks? Or they
South Dakota State gave up 7 sacks.
Okay.
Worrisome point right there.
Yes. Okay. I misread the way that you wrote that down. That aspect of things, though, is trying to figure out what is this offensive line and can they? Because I thought when I read that, I was like, wait, I thought that they didn't play that great against Sac State. But to that point, though, they're going to be going up against a very well coached unit of Montana State. It's kind of surprising to see that they had as much offensive production, giving up 7 sacks and 11 tackles for loss.
I think Chase Mason might be a dude. When he had time back there and the pocket was clean, I thought he was flicking it pretty well. I thought his touch was solid. I think that if he just get more reps, and he could legitimately be a solid guy in the FCS at the quarterback position. It helps with his new best target, at least last game, Lofton Ogrovsky. Find me 3 more names in the FCS, and we'll put together the best wide receiver room in college football to go with Lofton Ogrovsky. 5 catches, 76 yards. That's the one they're going to have to keep an eye on. Looks like the new favorite target, most receptions, most yards last week. Keep it up. I mean, I just am confident in this Chase Mason guy. I liked what I saw. He wasn't flustered. It was plenty of fluster opportunity if you're getting brought to the ground 7 times. But if you can get back up, hold the ball still, keep your head still, keep it on a swivel, and deliver and strike, I thought he did that. And I think that Montana State is going to be up on it because they can get a pass rush going. They can get to a quarterback. They got a hard-hitting defense. But how are you going to phase this guy? And that's got to be with some tricky coverages. You got to get him to throw an interception. You got to get him to put the ball on the ground. Because if not, it's going to be more of big horse gets knocked down, big horse gets up and keeps on riding into the sunset. That's what I think Chase Mason, the strength of his game has been through 1 week.
It's so hard to really dissect what Montana State's capable of because the Oregon team that they faced, I think, is going to be a big rising FBS team. The game was over the second that it started. They're coming after punts. They're generating big splash plays. Kenyon Sadiq's jumping over dudes. They had a lot of issues on defense, and I don't think that necessarily means that they're going to have a lot of issues trying to slow down South Dakota State, but they have to play better. They have to rally to the football. They can't have as many broken tackles as they did and mistakes as they did against Oregon, against South Dakota State this week.
Get off wide receiver blocks.
Yeah.
There was some highlight. There was some teach tape coming out of the Oregon.
Yeah.
I know it's Oregon versus Montana State. I understand, but there's little teach tape things that you got to clean up before you play South Dakota State.
I'll say one thing that was super impressive, though, that when I was doing my Oregon notes for the Oregon-Oklahoma State game, it was exciting to see Taco Dowler be the only guy who produced the way that he did. Usually when you have these FCS on big-time FBS program matchups, everybody gets shut down. You'll never see somebody eclipse 100 yards as a receiver or running back. You'll rarely see a quarterback go over 300 yards. But Taco Dowler goes 12 of 107 for an 8.9 yard per reception average. We knew Dowler was a big-time playmaker, that he was going to be a big reason for their offense, their passing offense, to take a step forward with a different quarterback this season. And to know that he was able to produce against a secondary for Oregon that's got some pretty quality players, that to me is something to track for Montana State if they win this game.
I love Dowler. I love that he came into this year with it seemingly the same hunger and focus as he did last year when he really broke onto the scene. Starting this year off like that against Oregon has to be like the biggest confidence boost. Even in a loss, you still have to put it in perspective. I just put up 100 against Oregon with Montana State. First time Justin Lamson and I on the stage together. Like that is a really good feeling. I don't think there's anybody on South Dakota State that can cover him one-on-one. I just don't. I think he's going to be one of the best receivers in the FCS. So what do? You cheat a little. You have some safety help. South Dakota State has a very good defense, but none of their players on defense can hold Dowler single-handedly. So you're going to have to scheme for him. You have to scheme for Lamson, who I thought in a bad loss, was decent, 23 for 31, $198. They're not slouches. Yes, slouches. I didn't want schlubs. Slouches is what they are not. I know it's different with Tommy Mellott. not being there and Sean Chambers not being there, the great dual threat guys that we've seen recently come in and have the ability to just take over a game, to just run if they need to, pass if they need to, true 50-50 split. Montana State's going to have to figure out their new plan, and if you're incorporating Dollar, it's a good one.
They might not have any slouches or schlubs, but they do have a schlep. They have a tight end named Ryan Schlepp. Did you know this?
I didn't know about
I'm discovering this.
Were you?
I love finding out these teams have guys with awesome names.
So was that I'm going to look for other schluz?
No, I was going over the notes and to check who else had some production during the Oregon game, and Ryan Schlepp had a reception for 3 yards. In case anybody was,
way to be, Mr. Schlepp. Good work.
My current lean on this, though, is I think I currently lean on South Dakota State. I think that it was incredibly impressive the way that they were able to play in this opening week against Sacramento State. I think that it's a message that you're sending very clearly to the FCS that, hey, this team was talking all kinds of S. Their president was talking all kinds of S about moving up. And they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for the smoke. They're still not one of the top premier programs in FCS football, no matter how much money they throw at the problem and no matter how hard they try. There's a real shot that Montana State ends up just popping off out of nowhere. There's a real chance that ends up happening. But I currently lean into South Dakota State.
If Montana State can balance a pass rush with offense, opposed to Sac State just having evidently a pass rush last week, then Montana State can give them a good run for their money. It is irresponsible if Justin Lamson popped off for 3 touchdowns, 100 yards on the ground, and 200 through the air last week, I would have a much more confident lead in Montana State. But it would be irresponsible to think that the performance that South Dakota State turned in the recent history between these two teams, that they wouldn't have the edge in this one. I am giving the slight lean to South Dakota State. Hopefully this is an exciting one. It's most likely going to be a run the ball, punch you in the head, rock fight, grind you down, come to the fourth quarter. Whoever has the ball last, whoever has the turnovers.
Be like 42-35.
I'm trying to reverse jinx it right now. I'm trying to get ahead of that. Get it karmically in
3-2. God, that would be awesome.
3-2, and then 3-2 gets us a sickos committee post. If we get a 40-42 ball game shootout, then maybe a lot of people are getting in on it.
What about 5-1? You get one of those. Oh no, wait, no, 5-1's not possible. Because the only way that you get the 1 is if you return a blocked extra point. So we can't get 5. Shit. So we can only do 6-1. I don't like that. That's not a cool number. 6-4 would be kind of cool.
I'd take 8-4.
No, because 8 implies that they went for 2. I don't care for that.
2 field goals and a safety.
Well, no,
8's not for one team.
8's not possible though.
How is 8 not possible?
They would, unless someone had 2 safeties. You can't have the 8 because the 8 would require them to score a touchdown and go for 2. I want somebody to return a blocked extra point. I want a 1 on the board.
It's going to be tough to get a 1 on the board.
6-4. I think 6-4.
You could still get 8. At 6-4 works. But it was 6-4, and then that's a field goal. A field goal to return extra point for a 1 point.
Yeah.
Why? I wasn't even doing it for that one. I was doing it for the safety.
What about 12-7? But 2 of the points are field goals. One of them's a return to block. Oh no! Wait, no. Be 12-8 because I want 2 blocked extra points.
Are there any touchdowns in 12-8? There has to be a touchdown in 12.
Yeah, you have to have a touchdown to return the extra point. So okay, we're completely off the rails here. Well, I'd love to delete those last couple of minutes.
Sure.
So let me tell you about, and if you could timestamp me, delete me. Delete me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off of your data, and your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. The New York Times Wirecutter has named Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. And I mentioned this last time. I have had a couple of instances where I've had people try to log into my Twitter, into my Facebook, and it is frightening when you turn over, you wake up, and you see a notification that, hey, was this you in some random location you've never been to before? It is frightening, but having Delete Me available makes it so much safer. I have so much more peace of mind knowing that no one is going to take over my Twitter account that I spent years building up. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting PRO to 64000. The only way to get 20% off is to text PRO to 64000. That's PRO to 64000. Message and data rates apply. All right, FC estimates. Time to pick. Sean cheated again. 7-6-1 for me. 9-4-1 for dummy dipshit over here.
It sounds like dummy dipshit is still living up to his promise about getting a lead in week 0 and holding on to it.
Dummy dipshit's up after 2 weeks.
This lead will not be relinquished, and I will continue.
You say that now.
I will continue on my typing a hot tear through the FCS landscape. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run rampant on these games.
Chattanooga versus Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech.
Give me 10 Tech. Albany, Delaware State. This is a hack bit, man. This is a hack bit.
Delaware State, because when I hold a lead, I don't just chalk it up like others do. I like to take a risk and go with my gut.
Blown
Delaware
every lead
State
that you've had in this. I have completely smoked you, and I've reclaimed leads because you get too cute with it. Delaware State's bad. Albany went toe-to-toe with Iowa this past week for 3 quarters.
They're worn out.
Do you know how many yards Mark Gronowski had for Iowa against Albany?
I'm familiar with his yardage.
44. He
was it rushing?
Passing.
Ooh.
He threw for 44 against Albany.
Tough.
53% completion percentage.
Didn't he nuke on Albany in the FCS playoffs with South Dakota State?
That's what happens when you go to Iowa. I wish he stayed at South Dakota State.
Crazy.
Presbyterian versus Furman.
I don't care about the recent noise from Presbyterian and the Blue Hose.
Yeah.
Give me Furman.
Yeah, we're hosing that one off. Give me Furman.
Be dead in a box before I read Presbyterian. If they beat Furman,
were people calling for that?
No, I don't think so. Thank God. But
I don't. There's a half of a Presbyterian fan out there somewhere.
I'd like to hear from one.
You go to the game, and there's one dude that's outside of the stadium because he didn't buy a ticket, so he's trying to watch it from outside the fence.
If Presbyterian's sitting at 4-0, I like your fan voice. If Presbyterian's sitting at 4-0, I'm gonna have to call Craig and say, "Take me off, get me off the ballot," because this sport isn't for me anymore.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like the upstart Western Carolina fans that were super aggressive to us for not ranking them. Who did they beat a couple of years ago? Samford, I think, or something like that they beat, and then that was the kind of.
I think it was Samford. It was Samford early when they were supposed to be like the big bad Samford. Give me a break.
Yeah, and again, this is my big take. I never will just promptly move a team up and in just because of an upset. That was what I said at the beginning. Mm-hmm. North Dakota State versus Tennessee State.
I will go with North Dakota State.
Gladly will take the Bison. St. Thomas versus Idaho.
Idaho, this is the big potato game for Idaho. They have the helmets that are rolling out. There's a Spud Mobile. There's
helmets.
Potato mascot that's going to be in attendance. St. Thomas, good luck. You got no clue. No clue.
Sick helmets. Yep. I'm taking Idaho. Utah Tech versus Northern Arizona.
Utah who?
Tech. Utah Tech versus Northern Arizona.
I'm going to Tech Northern Arizona in this one. Because you said take for Tech, so I switched it up again on your ass. Give me the Lumberjacks. Give me the Lumberjacks.
When I'm putting you in timeout, I'm just not going to speak. So then you have to swim in it. I'll
happily swim in it. Say Tech properly. Give me your pick.
NAU. Holy Cross versus UNH.
I will take UNH in this matchup.
Give me. That one was a little extra on that one. South Dakota State versus Montana State.
I will go with South Dakota State in this one.
I'm going to take the Jackrabbits as well. SFA versus ACU. Grimace on Grimace. What do you got?
I will take SFA and the Fighting Hiltons. I followed him back, realized why I unfollowed him in the first place. You're doing fine. I'm not going to unfollow for a while, Dustin, but I'm starting to see the pieces together.
I'm going to take ACU in this one over SFA. Maine versus William & Mary.
Give me William & Mary.
Maine stopped trying. I don't know what the deal is. I'm going to take William & Mary.
Yeah, I thought they were going to have a little more juice, but they don't. And William & Mary doesn't have juice, but they have a little bit of talent, so I'll roll with them.
It's crazy how Maine was such a hard-ass team to play against when we were at URI.
They're a nightmare.
They won the CAA when we were there. And now they're total butt cheeks. Just nothing.
They weren't like even shipping off guys all the time to the NFL or to FBS to get to the NFL. They had some dudes. They had some legit dudes playing for their team, but it wasn't like even when Rhode Island was bad, we were still getting guys into the league. Maine wasn't doing that, so I don't know what's happened with them. Yeah, okay.
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We'll talk to you folks later. Enjoy the rest of your week.